I'm your host, Marsha Florence, for Just Ask Podcast Live. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for tuning in. And as you always know, we have some very resourceful information for you. So, a lot of times what we do find out is that uh, a lot of the shows that we do are helping a lot of individuals, caregivers, the patients themselves or clients themselves, persons with disabilities, and just the general public. So overall, we try to provide you a plethora of different types of services that are available out there. So today, I want to do a particular show with Quest Research Institute so we can get some information about Alzheimer's disease and learn some more about what researchers do. So without further ado, let me bring in my guest today. Well, good afternoon, Dr. Peter LeWitt and Denise Morgott. Nice to see you both.
Hello. Thank you for having us.
Thank you for the invitation.
Okay, so doctor, let me see. You didn't went out for me. Oh, there you are. Okay. I'm about to say, where did he go? All right. Thank you guys for joining me this afternoon. So let me just say this. A lot of our viewers always tune in to catch what resources that we're providing for them today. And so today I want to get a little bit more information on Quest Research Institute. And I don't know. So let me start off with you, Dr. Peter LeWitt. What's your take there? What do you do there?
Well, I'm a neurologist working at Detroit Medical Center in Wayne State, but part of my job also is to work at Quest Research Institute, which has been a leading researcher center in the Detroit area for more than 27 years. It's been involved in the development of new therapies for various neurological and other disorders. More than 35 medications have come to market through research that Quest has carried out. And it's an institute that's devoted to doing research the right way. Participant safety is our first priority. We've been involved in making new therapies available to be tested before they get approved by the regulatory authorities, such as the Food and Drug Administration. And it's a team effort with the patient community to try and help not only those who are participating in the research, but all those out there in the future who might benefit from the development of safe and effective medications. Let me introduce Denise to tell a little bit more about how Quest functions in the community out there in Farmington Hills.
All right, Denise, he shot it over to you.
Yeah, all right. Well, thank you. And yeah, we've been working there, and actually Dr. LeWitt was part of the inception. Many of our staff members have actually been there for 27 years. A lot of people don't even realize that we're in Farmington Hills at 12 and a half in Orchard Lake. And like Dr. LeWitt said, we've brought over 35 medications to market, and we've had over 5,000 participants in our studies. Our goal in the community is to educate people on therapies that are available to them and being part of a research to make future medical advancements. Our research is only good with participants. If we don't have participants, we can't do any of our research and all the good things that we do. Like Dr. LeWitt said, safety is our number one priority. And I'm proud to say I'm part of a family of people that many of the people have been there over 25 years. And the care is exceptional. We have a lot of participants that actually do multiple research studies because they receive such good care. So I'm really proud of that. And our hope is to let people know that we're available out in the market. And we're doing a lot of really great things in memory and Alzheimer's. And we're providing some free services like Memory Screen Day. So that's part of what we want to let people know that's available.
Okay. So, Dr. LeWitt, I have a question. What is the difference between dementia and Alzheimer's? A lot of people get that confused. So can you kind of brief us on that?
Yeah, let me clarify. So dementia or cognitive decline, these are all terms that describe what's going on in the thinking process. And it isn't just getting older, which we're all doing. Dementia refers to a number of different ways that the brain might not be working well. It can be a consequence of strokes, head injury, too much alcohol during life, toxic exposures of other sorts, brain infections, you name it. All of those things can damage the thinking part of the brain. But Alzheimer's disease is a very common cause associated mostly in the older population. It's not inevitable with aging, but it is a damage to nerve cells in a manner that interferes with short-term memory, with concentration, altering behavior, and in its worst versions, completely deprives someone of that personality and the mind that they once had. So it's a disorder that is challenging. It's a disease. It's one that has a mechanism behind it. And that's where the research that's going on at Quest Research and throughout the world really is trying to get to the mechanisms that start the nerve cells being damaged. It isn't something that just good living and a healthy diet and exercise and so on are known to work to prevent, although these factors can be very helpful in improving quality of life. And they may actually have a slightly protective role, as might diet. There aren't any easy answers such as supplements and vitamins. And that's why we're doing research with medical products coming from laboratories that are getting translated to the kind of research that we're doing at Quest and at other centers around the world in order to slow down and possibly cure these disorders in the future and to get an early handle on them as well so that they don't have to show up too late in someone's life.
So, are there any things that we can do in particular to keep our brain healthy?
Well, yes and no. We all want to stay healthy. If you have diabetes, if you have exposure to toxic things, and including excessive alcohol is one of those, or not getting enough sleep, and so on. These are all factors that have to do with the functioning of our mind. But part of the problem of Alzheimer's disease is hereditary. There are certain genetic factors that lead us to get this kind of damage, which is largely focused on an abnormal protein that accumulates in the brain. And so you'd think the obvious answer is let's just get rid of that protein. Well, proteins are what our brains and the rest of our body is made of. So we have to be very selective using some kind of strategy that preserves the healthy, improves recovery, but at the same time, like in the cancer world, is knocking out the bad cells, the bad proteins. And in the case of Alzheimer's disease, we have a great deal of laboratory knowledge. Now the challenge is to put those ideas into people who are willing to participate in the study, sometimes for years at a time, in order to slow down the progression. And we carefully monitor how people are doing, looking at the safety as well as the efficacy of these treatments. And one of these days, we're going to hit it right. We have several studies that are ongoing right now that are asking the same question. How can we help people?
Okay, so I know this is kind of a lengthy question, but in short, what's the 8 pillars of health? A brain. I mean, there's got to be something that people can kind of like practice or whatever. So I had a
Right.
question about what is
I,
the 8 pillars
yeah,
of
I
brain
can
health?
answer that,
Sure.
Marcia.
Excellent.
Yeah, and in Dr. LeWitt, thankfully you're here with your medical knowledge. As far as the 8 pillars of health that I know is in like he said, it's not necessarily foolproof, but it definitely is going to improve your quality of life and hopefully maybe ward off memory loss. One big thing is stay active. Exercise boosts the blood flow to the brain and supports memory. A lot of people are proving that they're like racket sports are definitely more popular now. Anything that has movement with having to think through what you're doing, they've found that that's kind of helpful. Eating well and staying hydrated. A big thing, I think a lot of people forget to drink water. And obviously eating like a Mediterranean diet is definitely, foods that are rich in the leafy greens, berries, fish. That's excellent.
Okay.
Number three is sleep. We all need to get 7 to 9 hours of sleep. I know I struggle with that myself. So, trying to figure out ways to get that recharging sleep. exercising your brain, learning new things, doing puzzles, Sudoku, things that you enjoy, joining card games are very helpful. Making sure that you connect with friends and family, staying socially active. That would really helps uh, reduce depression and isolation. They've found that that's really helpful. Next is relax and reduce stress. So maybe through some meditation, yoga, things, being mindful. Those are all things that can help
Okay.
your brain health.
So you name, wait a minute, Denise. You name quite a few things that some people do,
Yeah,
some people don't do, and
right.
things that people should do. So, do
Correct.
you? And I know you both realize a lot of people was like, I'm not doing that, or no, I don't have to do it. And even myself, I mean, when I go to bed, it might be 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning. And somebody say, really? Well, once you retire, you feel like I got all day, all night. So some things that you have listed, I'm hoping that our viewers would take heed to it and do those things, especially keeping the mind going, if it's playing cards or if it's word puzzle games. I found out through some of the seniors that I know, and I know might not be the best antidote, but some of them like going to the casinos and things like that with those lights and those games, something that keeps them going because it activates brain cells. Now, I know,
Mhm.
Dr. LeWitt, you're going to
Well,
say
it
something.
may be that maybe that's too much activation, especially if it costs a lot. But let me bring this up. I have here a sheet that if viewers contact Quest Research, it actually lists those items that Denise was going through,
Okay.
and it gives some ideas of how to structure your day and try and include a little bit of everything. These aren't the absolute prescription of how to avoid Alzheimer's disease or
Mm-hmm.
other age-related problems, but it's the best thing that medical information can guide you to. And it also improves quality of life in many different ways. The kind of exercise you have to do doesn't involve building big muscles, and sleeping well doesn't mean you have to sleep 8 hours a night, but controlling risk factors. If in fact you might have diabetes, it's good to get an early handle on it. Or if your blood pressure is a little bit on the high side in the doctor's office, monitoring it more extensively to
Mm-hmm.
find out if in fact you should be cutting back on salt at the very least, or more importantly, getting on medication and a regular regimen of determining why your blood pressure is too high. And maybe that's a reflection of the stress in your life as well. The last pillar here, though, I'll mention on this sheet that we have is getting involved in research. And by being a participant, patients who have been participating in studies get a little bit of advice while they're research subjects. And it might be that the medications that we're participating in, which are experimental, which aren't proven to work, nonetheless, might someday be the medications that doctors will be prescribing for the same condition.
Okay.
Mhm.
Okay. So that was one of my next questions. What is the benefits of people participating in a clinical research study? And you gave me some of those. But especially for those who are affected by memory loss or cognitive decline, should more people be involved in clinical researches? Which one?
Well, as a researcher who wants to not have so many people in my office with these disorders, I would love to have the quick track to getting them prevented from worsening or to have accepted therapies. There is one marketed class of drugs for Alzheimer's disease that may minimally slow down progression. We've got to do a lot better. These are very involved therapies to be on that require infusions monthly and a lot of testing. And there's some safety issues with what's currently out there. We need something much simpler, something that is much more effective. And this kind of work is going on in the United States, but here in town, we have access to several of these studies. I've gone through a couple of them that are ongoing. One currently enrolling is the BioHermes trial, which is one of the pharmaceutical industry studies that are currently going on at Quest Research in Farmington Hills.
Okay.
Mhm.
Okay. Wonderful. Now, this question is probably for you, and I'm going to mess up this name. I know I am. So, can you tell us who Quest Research Institute and the Alcanza Site Network are? So, I don't know. Is it Alcanza or Alcanza? Is it
Mhm.
Alcanza?
Right. So Quest Research, we've been in business for like 27 years. What's kind of nice is we joined a network a couple years ago, Alcanza, and Alcanza has 22 sites across the country. What's kind of nice about that is we not only have research studies going on here locally in Michigan, we also have some of these same studies in other states around the country. So it's been we're still the local Quest Research, but now we are part of this network that's kind of exciting too. And what I like is that we're able to share ideas and treat and the studies across the country.
Okay, okay. So I have a flyer I want to bring up, and either one of you can chime in and let us know. It says, "Do you want to make a difference in Alzheimer's research?" So, okay, come on, one of you guys plug in and tell me. Do this flyer get sent out to individuals who are interested, or how do people know about it?
That's a good question, Marcia. So we have been doing, and that's actually one of the biggest parts of my job, is to do as much outreach as possible. So we have a large database. We try to make sure that all the people in our database are informed about these great research studies. What's nice about this particular research study, the BioHermes, is it's actually testing people to see if they have genetic biomarkers that make them more at risk for memory loss. And so how we communicate it is actually this is part of what we're doing. Talking to you, getting the message out on Facebook, getting the message out. We go to health fairs around the community. And really, it's just letting people know what's available to them. And we're
Okay.
trying to get the word out.
So Denise, I
One of
see
the
you
things
on.
about go ahead.
No, go ahead, Doctor.
One of the things about being involved in research, it's an education process. If someone wants to get into a trial and wants to learn as much about the therapy, what the risks are, demands on their time, we spend a lot of time having that discussion. We have a written document to take home. There's no pressure to participate in the study. Anyone who's in a clinical trial is free to leave. There's no cost
Okay.
for participating in research. And in fact, often in studies, we're able to compensate for travel time and other expenses that might be involved in participating and coming out to Farmington Hills. But I think the important thing is this is a continuum between the primary care doctor you have. We often have discussions with those physicians to let them know what is the scientific and medical grounds for these treatments, what are the risks, what's asked of a patient. Some of the data that we collect, like scans of the brain or blood tests or electrocardiograms, are provided to the study participants that can become part of their regular health records. And so it's really a partnership with the community for people who are in need, who need a diagnosis. Sometimes we tell people good news that, well, in fact, you regard yourself as forgetful. You're actually doing pretty good compared to people your age, and we can reassure someone that they don't have a disorder which they thought they have. So this is, although it's not a diagnostic and treatment clinic per se, it is part of the healthcare system, the research side of it.
Okay. Okay. I think a lot of people, sometimes are under the impression that they're being used, like a guinea pig. Like, well, they don't really know, and how can they figure out? But if the data itself proves that or shows that this is a test that can help you find out more about your imbalances or your cognitive differences, to me it's a positive situation. But some people feel like, no, I'm okay, or no, my doctor didn't say I had anything. So the question I have is it more like one-on-one, because some people don't want everybody in their business, but you guys see everybody individually, and then they can take this information back to their primary physicians to discuss what the findings were?
Mhm.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, there's confidentiality all the way. And in fact, If someone doesn't want even other family members to know
Mm-hmm.
any medical details, just like everything in the modern medical system, it's highly ethical. It's something that is important to maintain confidentiality. The name of someone participating in the study also doesn't go into the pharmaceutical industry's database either. We assign code numbers. We maintain absolute secrecy. That's the only way to do research. And you mentioned that in the past some unethical things have gone on in research, some terrible experiments on people. That is ancient history at this point. The Food and Drug Administration, the medical community, the evolution of medical ethics is such that the safety first and the comfort of someone participating in research is highly respected and by law is mandated. There are huge penalties if someone strays from that. And that's actually one of the major costs of doing research is there's such a high emphasis on doing it right and having quality control measures in place.
Okay. Okay. Well said, doctor. Well
Yeah.
said. Because I'm telling
Mhm.
you, a lot of people are like, oh no, I'm not doing that. No, they they just want to
Right.
pick my brain. But we have a large volume of individuals suffering from cognitive issues that they don't even know which way to go or what it is. And when you mentioned that, the onset of like drinking or excessive drinking, staying up late, drugs, anything like that can cause some type of minor relapse, people need to check into it a little more. I mean, I think I would. Okay, I think I would.
Sure.
So, yeah,
Yeah,
no.
and there are treatable causes. I'll add to
Mhm.
that. Sometimes give example, a particular kind of vitamin deficiency, vitamin B12, which is common in older individuals and is tested for. You don't just go out and take the vitamin, you need the testing. Or some people are having small seizures or small strokes that are
Right.
impairing their thinking. And all of these have treatments that are quite effective for them. So one can't assume just because you're becoming forgetful or cognitively impaired that it's irreversible. Alzheimer's disease currently is, but Alzheimer's disease is a diagnosis of exclusion. You look for all the treatable causes, and sometimes just dealing with sleep is a problem. People who have sleep disorders can be very much improved just by, if necessary, using the breathing equipment at nighttime or just getting in the habit of going to bed earlier, which all of us need to do sometimes.
You're gonna make me go to bed early. Okay. I never go to bed before 2 o'clock, but okay, I'll give it a shot. Okay, okay. Well, I wanted to bring up another flyer of event that you guys are gearing up for. So, Memory Matters Cafe. I know that you have a free Memory Matters. That's a free memory screening day, and we're talking about Wednesday, September 17th. That's coming up kind of quick here. Okay, so
It
which one
is.
of you want to chime in and tell us about this upcoming event?
Yeah, I can talk about that. What we're doing is we've learned that people are very interested in finding out where they are with their memory. And we do this, and it's kind of a fun event. We serve coffee and cookies, and each person, you would sign up to come in for about a half hour memory screen. So we would ask that people would call our number and sign up for an appointment to come in. I think one thing too that I wanted to just reemphasize is that when each person comes in, you are your own person. When you do a study, you're not you are only seeing the medical people by yourself. You're on your own schedule.
Okay.
So, and we keep everything very confidential. It's kind of like going to a doctor's office, but it's got a family feel to it.
Great.
So, what we're trying to do with this Memory Matters is giving people a chance to see where they're at with their memory. And then, depending where they're at, they may want to find out more about what kind of research studies are available. And we have individual staff that'll kind of go over that with them.
Okay. Okay.
The one thing too, I'm kind of like piggybacking on Dr. LeWitt. Each time a person comes in, they're in a doctor's office by themselves. They read a consent form. They have the chance to meet with the medical people by themselves. So everything is very, and it's an
Private.
independent
Mm-hmm.
process.
Okay. Great. So we put
And
up
you can always say no or back out. If you're in a study and it's not working for you, people can do that too.
That's good.
So,
You don't
mhm,
want anybody to feel like they're being held against their will. Okay.
that's correct.
All right. So we
Correct.
posted the Eventbrite link as well. So those of you who are interested. Now I'm going to put that flyer back up one more time because I want people to know that it's on Wednesday, September 17th from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. And the phone number, the 248-957-8940. So we're going to put that back up as well. So ladies and gentlemen, if you are interested, if you don't see the information, you're like, oh, Marsha, I missed it. You know you can always give us a call here at 1-800-323-5336 at the Just Ask hotline, and we will get that information over to you. Okay, so we always want to make sure our viewers know that if they miss it, we got it. Okay, so we don't want to miss anything. Yeah. So is there anything you guys want to say before we wrap up? I mean, I enjoyed you, and I appreciate Dr. LeWitt, you taking a moment out of your busy schedule to speak with us today.
Glad to be here. And there's a lot to be said about these disorders, which unfortunately are no reward for leading a long and good life. But one of these days we'll be talking more about the cures, I hope. And you can certainly invite me back when that time comes.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, I want to thank you both for spending your afternoon with me today. And like I said, we'll get this information out. There's the phone number on the screen as well as the website if anyone has any questions. So can you hold that thought for me and I'll be right back.
I try to keep up with what these young people is doing and knowing.
I was at work and I just got a text from a number that I didn't know.
I sent him a text. He texts me back and say, "Who dis?" And I just thought that was the funniest thing.
The next few weeks, she just made fun of me, like would answer the door and say, "Who dis?"
Who dis?
Drop off a warm meal and get more than you expect. Volunteer at americaletsdolunch.org.
America, let's do lunch. This isn't a workout video. It's about how LLS has helped blood cancer patients like me thrive and how your donation can help countless others. Please give today at lls.org.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, you know I always enjoy myself because why? I'm learning something and I'm sharing it with you. I'm your host, Marsha Florence with Just Ask, and we want to thank Dr. LeWitt and Denise Morgott for joining us today from Quest Research Diagnostics. Okay, did I say that? Quest Research Diagnostics? I'm always trying to add something on there that's not supposed to be on there. Quest Research Institute. If you have questions, please feel free to give me a call, 1-800-323-5336, and we'll get it over to them. I'm your host, Marsha Florence with Just Ask, and what do I always say? If you have a question about a person with a disability or just a general question, don't be afraid to ask. Just Ask. I'm your host. See you next time.